Hey everybody, we are going to be working with some mental math tricks today. We might be writing some things out, even though it is mental math, just writing things out so we can kind of see our reasoning better, but we're not using like a big proportion. We're not going to have to use any calculators, and that's what makes it mental math. Before we get started, we have to remember that a percent is out of 100. So 100% is always the whole thing, whatever we're talking about. That's going to be important for us to figure out. What we're going to do in each section is look at one section at a time. You'll see which ones you could figure out, and then I'll show you any tricks that I know. So let's look at section 1 first. Without using a calculator, see how many of these you can find using mental math. You're going to pause the video, find as many of them from section 1 that you can, and then unpause it and I'll go over it. If you're totally stuck and don't know where to get started, just keep watching and I'll explain how to do it. All right, go ahead and pause the video if you know what to do. Okay, hopefully you have come back from it being paused, or you're stuck and you want me to go through it. I'm gonna go through it now. So before we talked about if 100% is the whole, we can talk about 10% as a fraction of 100%. 10% of 100% means that we need to find 1/10 of a number. The 100% is the whole thing. 1/10 of it will give you 10%. So quick ways to do that would be to divide your number by 10. That would give you 1/10 of it. Or to take your number and do one swoop to the left with a decimal. If you feel like you could fill out section 1 now, go ahead and pause the video. I'm going to keep talking though, so just come back when you're ready to go over it. Looking at problem A, 10% of 30. We can either find that by doing 30 divided by 10, or we could take 30 and do one swoop of the decimal to the left. Either way, we get the answer of 3. So 10% of 30 is 3. To get 20%, you can simply double that. So if you take whatever you got for 10% and then multiply it by 2, that'll give you 20%. So 3 times 2 is 6. 30% works the same way. You could do 10% times 3, or you could take your answer for 10% plus your answer from 20%, and that'll give you 30% as well. So either way, you'll get the answer of 9. So 3, 6, and 9. Okay, section 2. Pause the video, see how many of section 2 you can do. If you're stuck, just keep watching. And then when you're ready, unpause. Okay, so section 2. For me, my eye goes right to problem C, that 50%. That's where I want to start. To find 50% of something, you just take a half of it. So 50% of 64 is going to be 32, because that's half of 64. Now, I can take half of that answer to get 25%. So half of 32 is 16. And I can take half of that answer to get 12.5%, which is 8. There's another way to get 25%, and some of you guys might have used this strategy, if you do 64 divided by 4, because 25% is a fourth of 100. So 100 divided by 4 is 25. 64 divided by 4 will give us 25%. That answer matches. You might have also noticed that 12.5% might remind you of the decimal 1.25, which is 1/8. Which means that we can also take 64 divided by 8, and that's another way to get 12.5%. There's a couple of ways to get 75%. You could take whatever you got for 25% times 3. You could take your answer for 25% and add it to your answer to 50%. And there's other ways too, but those are the two that come to mind most easily to me. Either way, you would end up with 48. All right, see what you could do with section 3. Pause the video. Come back when you're ready to learn how to do it. If you don't know how to do it, just keep watching. Okay, so we've already covered 100% and 10%. The next big one is 1%. Finding 1% of something really opens it up to being able to find anything. So 1%, 1 fits into 100 times. That means 1% is 1/100th. So to find 1% of something, you have to divide it by 100. If 100's not going to go in easily, you could do 2 swoops to the left. If you're ready to try section 3 now, you can go ahead and pause the video. If not, keep watching. So A, I need to do 500 divided by 100, or I need to take 500 and do 2 swoops left. Either way, I get the answer of 5. Once I have 1%, I can find the rest of them. If you are ready now, go ahead and pause the video. If not, keep watching. Okay, going over the rest, for 2%, I just have to double it. That's 10. For 3%, I just have to triple it. So I could take 1% times 3, or I could do my answer for 1% plus my answer for 2%. Either way, I get 15. For 4%, I could take my answer for 1% times 4. I could take my answer for 2% times 2. I could take my answer for 1% plus my answer for 3%. Either way, I get 20. I'm going to box these so they're a little easier to see. The rest of them just follow suit. So 5% is 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. And we know that we could check our 10% by moving our decimal over once. Yep, that's correct. Okay, see if you could do section 4. As always, pause the video if you can give it a try. If not, just keep watching until you're ready to pause it. Okay, 33 1/3%. Hopefully that makes you think of 1/3. 1/3 as a decimal is 0.3 repeating. And as a percent, it's 33.3 repeating, or 33 1/3 repeating percent. So 33 1/3% should make us think of 1/3. To find 1/3 of something, you just divide it by 3. So 30 divided by 3 is 10. That should help you find the next two. 20 and 30. You double it and then triple it. All right, for problem 5, you're going to be applying some of the other strategies we've learned. It's nothing new here. You're going to see if you could use what we learned to fill out section 5. Pause the video, try to fill it out, come back when you're ready to go over it. Okay, hopefully you're ready to go over it. So for 10% of 48, I had to divide it by 10, which means I could move the decimal in 1. So it's going to be 4.8. 12.5%, I could divide it by 8. That gives me 6. 22.5%. Now that's a crazy one. We don't know any trick for that, but we can add our previous two numbers. We could do our answer for 10% plus our answer for 12.5%. That's 10.8. And lastly, 32.5%. That looks like I could add 22.5 plus 10%. So if I add up those two, I get 15.6. All right, one last section. See what you can do with it. Pause it and come back when you're ready to go over it. All right, this is the gauntlet. A lot of problems in a row. They're all concerning 16. So 12.5% we talked about was 1/8. So 16 divided by 8 is 2. For 25%, I could do 16 divided by 4 because it's 1/4. Or I could simply double my answer from 12.5%. Either way, you get 4. For 50%, I can divide it by 2, or I could double my answer from 25% to get 8. 75%, I can add together my answers from B and C, so 25% plus 50%, or I could take 25% times 3. Either way, I get 12. 100%. Okay, that's 16. There are other things I could do though, like doubling my answer for 50%, but that's the easiest. 125%. I think here I'm going to add together my answers for 100% plus 25%. So 100% was 16, 25% was 4, so that gives me 20. 175%, I'm going to do 100% plus 75%. That's 16 plus 12. That's 28. 200%, I'm going to double my answer from 100%. That's going to give me 32. 350%, let's see. I need 100% plus another 100% plus another 100%. That's 300 plus a 50%. So it's going to be 16 times 3 plus a 50%, which is 8. That equals 48 plus 8, and that equals 56. All right, for this one, I'm going to need, it's a little bit bigger. I'm going to organize it using a little map here. So for 412.5%, I'm going to take 4 100%. That gets me to 400. And then I'm going to take a 12.5% and add them all up. Okay, each of these 100% were 16. 12.5% was 2. So adding all of these up, I get 66. All right, thank you guys for watching.